he really loves his children. We see that with one of his
Why
daughters
wouldn't
that
he
he's still
plant
trying to
a,
bring
a
back.
Karmasil? Why would he go through Kawaki for the Karmasil though? Wouldn't he be able to create his own Karmasil if he goes Susi?
No, he needed a vessel for Jigen. Like, remember, he's trying not to die.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
no.
also there's that thing that the theory, I don't know who came up with it, that Amado, like connecting to what you just said, free game, Amado created Code's Karmasil. So it's maybe
Mhm.
for like him as an Otsutsuki or a different Otsutsuki that we don't know, because it's not necessarily similar, despite it not being like the same as Kawaki's. The pattern isn't the same as Kawaki's, even though they're both supposed to be from Ishiki.
True.
Yeah, but
So that could be Amado's Karmasil, like Code could be
True.
Amado's vessel.
yeah, but I think Amado, seeing that Ada wanted to find love, and Amado really wanted Ada to find love, and just unintentionally this triggered. That's my idea.
I think, or I can see that. So if I can see like where like Amado's, I just don't know.
Kind of
Like,
feeling bad for Ada, and
yeah, I was
he's
about to
like,
say, I don't know
oh,
if Amado like had any conscious desire. I would think so, more so like
yeah,
Amado's
but
conducting his evil research, right? And
Mhm.
amidst making Ada and whatever happens, like at one point during their contact, Ada subconsciously grants the ability because she's in contact with Amado, but he doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
realize it at
but
the moment. Or
yeah, and
maybe,
we see the same thing with Kawaki. Kawaki wasn't like intentionally trying to
yeah.
force omnipotence to switch roles. It just happened. I think that could be the same thing with Amado, where Amado felt sorry for Ada that she wasn't finding love, and then because Amado is an Otsuki member, secret Otsuki member, this
Okay, so
triggered.
then I'll ask you this. Let's just run with it. Let's say he is. Why? Like, just what is he doing? Like, what's going on? Why is he here?
He's trying to bring back his daughter, and he couldn't have done that with if the planet was destroyed, and Jigen was trying to destroy the planet.
So Amado had to have fall for a human. He had to, like, a Kibi has to be like a
Yeah,
Hagoromo. Cause it's
yeah.
like, why would he come to a human or a mortal plane to revive his immortal daughter to a sense?
And
But
to be honest, I won't even rule out the possibility that Amado was given a karma seal by Ishiki,
damn.
and
Nah,
that
that's
triggered it.
OD. That's OD. Not Ishiki. I don't think I ain't gonna lie. Ishiki's the GOAT. Like he's a top dog in the Boruto verse, definitely. But like I feel like he's getting so many more accolades as the time goes by. It is like they were not there while he was alive. You feel me?
No, that's true. That's true. But so that right there isn't necessarily like concrete. But I just believe like if Amado is Otsuki, this would be the best proof.
You
Like
don't
he has the omnipotence for Ada, and
you
Ada
don't think there's
kind of.
no way. I think if there's like any Otsutsuki connection with Amado, he'd have to be connected to Shibai Otsutsuki.
Possibly. That's a possible because he's the one with like all the Shibai DNA, and to be honest, that could be why him and Ishiki linked up. But to be honest, like the only thing, how do you explain this quote? Amado has robbed me of ordinary love, knowing that Ada can't intentionally use omnipotence.
Because at that point, it's the experiments that Amado did that resulted in her ability. So even if, like, let's just say we don't know when or how it was casted, just know it was casted and they understand. Before the experiment versus after the experiment, she only had this ability after the experiment. So at that point, it's like, okay, this is the ability this man gave me. And Amado understood that's the ability she got granted from the Shibai cell. So he thought, okay, that's the Shinjutsu that she would have. He literally, I mean, it's
That's a good explanation.
like he literally robbed her of true love. Like now, because of the experience, like she can't, because we don't understand what all of this is also leading us to believe that Ada and Damon were likely one of the kids who were abducted sometime in the past from their family, from their homes. Because it seems to me that aside from like the exceptions of some of the Kara inners, nobody was consentful in having their body, manipulated with by. So I think we're also forgetting that like there was probably no consent whatsoever. Like they were just probably kidnapped, and then all of a sudden they're this strong. It's like, well, yeah, like I'm gonna have a problem with the head researcher too.
Yeah, I can see that. My thing, and this might be the disagreement. I think that it's more likely that Amado is an Otsutsuki member, and all this is because of him, than the likelihood that Ishiki Otsutsuki wanted Ada to find love. I think that's my rationale right
This
now.
is all.
I
Okay.
think there's no way that first omnipotence was triggered because of Ishiki.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, as far as that goes, yes. All right, I agree with that. I don't think Ishiki had a hand to play in the first omnipotence being casted. It's definitely something to do with Amado. All right, so I would say this. I agree with what you said, but between those two. So, but I would say that it would be more so on like Amado's ignorance as to what was actually going down, as opposed to like, well, I ain't gonna cap because I think Amado's sussy. So yeah, I say yeah, maybe he is Otsutsuki. So maybe it's just
you know me. I think Amado is a stand-up guy. He's not a gentleman, of course. He did a lot of bad things in his past, but I think he's a decent person at heart. And I think he's the only person that would have that empathy for Ada as an Otsutsuki member for her to trigger that omnipotence.
Bro, at this point, you done tested on so many kids, bro. Where this sudden burst of empathy is coming from? Like,
no, but even during them testing, Amado was the person saying, "I think we should stop now," and Ishiki Ishiki.
At that point,
was pushing forward.
He's looking at because Ishiki, all he's doing is sticking his hand in the jar. Amado's the one that's actually has to modify their bodies before even putting them inside of these blood bags, understanding if he don't kill them on the surgery table, he's for sure about to kill him inside of this blood bag because
but again, that right there, that goes to my argument. No one's saying Amado is the perfect guy, but he had more empathy than Ishiki. So if it wasn't Amado that triggered this, who was the Otsutsuki member that triggered it? Moshi confirmed that she can't do it. So who did?
If we all right, I'm not all right. Let me just say this before I answer it. I don't believe that it's definite that an Otsutsuki triggered her first omnipotence. I don't think so. But if you were to say it had to be an Otsutsuki to use the ability in any way, shape, or form, it would have to be. It would make sense for you to say Jigen because of the Ishiki thing, but like I agree with what you said, it would have to be with Amado. There's so many mysteries around Amado as a character. So if it's not Amado, it's simply that Ada, there's no other option. I would say that it's no other option other than Amado. Because if it's not Amado, it's like what I think it is, actually, that Ada just unconsciously did it. Or maybe it was upon the cell activation. Once the power became dormant within her body, it activated for the one time and one time only. And that was how it was casted. But if not for Amado, it was something that occurred, like Momoshiki said, subconsciously with Ada. Like one day she woke up and everybody was just in love with her. And she put two and two together. This is an ability that Amado has given me.
No, I think I won't necessarily completely poo-poo. I think that is possible where during the transfer process, because there likely was some Otsutsuki DNA probably thrown into Ishiki, that could have probably been like what subconsciously did. And of course, Ada herself wanted
like
to
a cell activation
love.
thing. Yeah.
That's possible.
But even if like who, like if you were to even like, because that's hard to like, who would you say if it's not Amado? Because you obviously don't think Ishiki. Who would you even think like other than Ada herself?
No, I think it's Amado. There's in my head in this scenario, it's either no one did it or it was Amado.
Okay, that's fair. Then. That's fair because I think it was either like Ada subconsciously, but if it had to be an external source, I would say Amado. There's just so much because like that's the type. Those are the type of actions you would think Amado would probably show towards Delta, like a clone of his daughter. Because it's like, what's the true connection? And it's fair enough to say because I was just about to say something to contradict myself. But if we find out a deeper connection between Ada and Amado's history, maybe they're somehow related, then I can be able to go further on that consensus and then say, okay, maybe this warranted Amado to desire Ada to find true love. But if she's just another kid that he kidnapped on the Tuesday, right, and he's running Wednesday's experiments, I don't know. I don't see him just being like, oh God, please help this girl find true love. Like after he just killed 17 other kids. Come on, bro.
I think I disconnect this. I think Amado really still does care about those kids. even if they died. And to be honest, the ones that were successful, he cares more about them because those are successful experiments.
I think it's a means to an end. Because if he truly cared about these kids, he would be putting food on Code's books. But nah, Code is out here chilling in a different dimension. He losing eyes. He's losing limbs.
Food on his books.
He would put food on his books if he really cared about these kids.
Code is different because Code is actively trying to end the planet. Like, and of course that's contradictory to what Amado trying to do for his daughter.
And Amado actively ended like 13 kids prior to Code. So it's like,
again, I'm not saying he's a perfect guy, but I think he genuinely does care about. For example, scientists care about their successful experiments, even their failures they care about.
But they don't care.
But pick up on. And a human version of a successful experiment, I think he legitimately had feelings for, like as a father for Ada. I think he has feelings for Kawaki, like as a father for him too. Same with all of his other experiments. Probably not Code because again, Code is trying to upend his plan for his daughter. But I think he cared about them.
All right, I'm gonna agree to an extent because if you do create something, there is a type of attachment that's built there, whether you acknowledge it or not. So as far as like when we look at his creation, I would say his most perfect is obviously Kawaki, and we see the interactions between him and Kawaki. I don't think it's more so like I love, I'm saying I love what I created. If there was a genuine love for the creation, like he's doing this just for the love of the game, you will be able to tell by how he interacts with these creations. But if you look at Amado's interaction with all of his creations, none of them respect him, and he don't care. Like he even the clone of his daughter, he doesn't care how she talks to him. He's just like, yeah, whatever, this, that. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I need my legs fixed. Like in the anime canon and all of the episodes that we've seen with him interacting with Boro and Code, they disrespectful. They show him no respect. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're always questioning his authority if Jigen's not around. And he always has a smart aleck or a smart remark to say whenever he's around the other inners. So it's like that deep love definitely wouldn't be there. But as far as like the fact that he has these creations and is actively in his work and he's invested in it, yeah, he cares. But like the way he treats Kawaki and then he don't really care.
Kawaki's not a good example. I think he cares about Kawaki. Kawaki's not a good example.
I don't think he cares about Kawaki. He cares about what Kawaki has. That karma.
Yeah, that's what I said. That Kawaki is not a good example because every time I point to a spot of Amado actually caring about Kawaki, you could say it's just because he has the karma so that could revive his daughter.
Literally. Yeah. So then when you point to any other inner that don't have his daughter, that don't have the karma seal, it's like Amado showed no sympathy. Like the inner started dying left and right. No, like, you know what I'm saying? No passing a mention or anything for the dead. So it's like he don't really care about these
because he cares about his daughter. Most of their deaths was for his daughter. Like Kashi and Koji died for his daughter.
What's crazy. So if you're telling, okay, so look. If he really cared about these kids, Baru, you telling me he's gonna actively kidnap an orphan? This dude don't got no food, no clothes.
I feel like you have like you're making it seem like it's two separate pots. Either he doesn't care about them at all, or he's deeply in love with them and thinks that they're his own children.
Not even if it's a little bit. I don't think he cares about them like a little bit. That's what
so you think it's the pot where he's just indifferent. He doesn't care about them at all.
He does not, because if he did, he would have valued the life that they had. So, all right, if it's truly for the love of like the creation or art experience, it'd be like, all right, let somebody use your daughter as an experiment. They might die, but hey, they're gonna get some progress in their research. How do you think he would feel about that?
I mean, if it's their you said if it's his actual children,
if it's his actual child,
yeah, of course it'd be different because he really. Again, on a scale of 0, he doesn't like them at all. He has 0 feelings for them at all. Or 100, he feels the same way as for them as he feels for his daughter. I think he might be at 25, and for his daughter, it's at 100. So of course he's going to sacrifice the 25s. Of course.
All right. So as far as I ain't gonna lie, because I was gonna give you a number. It was gonna be around 20 to 25. But that is more so far as on the moral code written on our heart. Because it's like at the end of the day, we naturally know, even if you're brought up told what it is, you naturally know what is wrong and naturally what is right because you feel it inside. Everybody has that. So that 25 can simply be because at the end of the day, he was born human. You're not just going to simply abduct kids, random kids at that, experiment on their bodies, and then throw them into another experimentation.
I'm not looking at it like that. I'm not looking at all. I talked about how he looks at them as experiments. Even if we believe that's not a good way to look at it, that's what he believes. This is a successful experiment that manifested what's it called senjutsu. That not senjutsu, that manifested divine arts. Like this is the successful. You said he cares about, a scientist would care about his successes. Even if it's like a 2025, if hypothetically he walks in a room and sees her crying because she can't find love because she's in a Kata organization and she's cooped up in this spot, he's probably going to feel a tiny bit of empathy, and that could have triggered it.
I don't think though. I don't know, bro, because even let's just say, okay, it was like 12 kids inside of that thing that we saw, right? In Kawaki's flashback, like 13 kids.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Even if he did care. All right, let's say the first 10 kids. Does he take the time to remember their names? Yes or no?
I don't know.
If he does,
let's say he doesn't. What does that change about the Ada situation?
He already So even going to Ada, he already admitted to Jigen he lost count. Bar, I don't think you understand. He's lost count of how many kids.
But that even supports my argument. Like,
but
he
it's
doesn't,
not because
like,
it's
hypothetically, he doesn't know their name. He knows Ada's name. That's my point. Like, he cares about Ada more than
he reached a certain extent of the experimentations to learn Ada name.
Yeah.
Or either that, or we just understood we don't know the other's name because they're dead. Maybe he knew everybody's name instead of test subject A. They lined up in tubes. Ada, Damon, Kawaki, Code, Delta. They were all lined up in tubes, maybe by name. And then once you're dead, why am I still saying your name? But even with that, he can be looking at it like, okay, this is an experiment with care. These are living, breathing people. Like, it's not like he created something out of nothing. Like with Kashin Koji, I'd give him Wheelay. At that point, it's more so we're entering discussion. Is he violating the dead because Jiraiya has no consent in using his genetics to create another human being? So Kashin Koji, Delta, different story, which is why I say when Akebi comes back, she's gonna be very pissed off at Amado because like you're defiling the dead without their consent and without their permission. He is playing God, bro, and it's essentially like I said, if you're just taking something and creating something out of nothing, and you that's different. You can care about that experiment, and I would expect him to care about it. But even with what we've seen throughout the story and understanding, not only did all of his experiments for the most part start out as human, but none of them like him, bro. He was doing this for the love of the game. And then to even be more technical, when you look at Kawaki's flashback in the anime, which they phenomenally animated, by the way, we see him looking, being awake on the operation table, and we see Amado with the scalpel in the mirror and the face mask. He's operating on a live person right now.
I believe you're saying he's too evil to have empathy for these people.
He cannot. I'm saying there's no whatever small amounts of empathy or sympathy you think would be there that would cause him to be like, dang, this girl is crying, I want her to find some love. There is none there, bro. There's none there. I'm sorry. There's absolutely none there.
I disagree heavily. I've maintained this from the start of us seeing Amado. Amado looks like a regular guy. Like, I ain't about to lie. He doesn't have the killer instinct of like.
He gives a vibe like when you watch an anime, you never trust the character whose eyes are always closed. That's Amado, bro.
Yeah, true.
That's Amado. It's too many like what around the character is like I just can't trust it.
True, but I feel like it's kind of like the Minato argument where Minato killed like thousands of people, but he still had empathy. Like even Satan has empathy. Like
that's different. That is different, though. That is different.
It is different. It's not completely 100% analogous, but I still believe he does have empathy for his experiments, and Ada being an experiment. I don't necessarily think he's just completely careless of Ada's feelings. I don't think he's completely careless of Delta's feelings or Kawaki's.
I think so. Bro.
Maybe Code.
I think the care more so falls. I think the care more so falls onto their well-being. Because if he cared about their feelings, he probably wouldn't have, had Kawaki locked up in a tube on an airship, and that's how
You
we
don't even
introduced
care
him.
about Kawaki. He only
Like,
saving Kawaki for his.
you don't. Yeah, I don't.
That's why.
he
Yeah,
don't
that's why I said
care about
Kawaki's not a
him.
good example because you could just say he cares for his daughter.
Yeah. All right. Well, but even then, like when with Damon, I'm pretty sure with did he even speak to Damon when they were on panel together? Like when they pulled up onto Code together, like
I
the
don't think he has to.
relationship that we seen with his creations is just too like it's not. It's
But
too cold. It's too cold. Like he's a cold shoulder.
But then again, his relationship now is completely different than the relationship prior, like when they were in the COD organization, all chilling in their hideouts.
But
Like,
that's
it's
what I'm
not the same.
saying. Aside from those inners, how many people in that organization was actually there with their own consent?
I don't know, but I don't necessarily think that means he doesn't have empathy. I don't. These are good reasons as to why he's not a good person, but not why he just wouldn't have empathy for Ada.
Because of everything that we've seen between their interactions. That's why he doesn't have. Because all right, if he would have had empathy, like it's like, all right. So when Ada first popped up, bro, right in the chapter, and Cole put that claw mark on Shikamaru's neck, right? They're in that office, and Code pops up out of nowhere, and everything is going down. Boom! Shikamaru summons Delta, and then in the midst of all of this, what's the name? Ada pops up. Amado is right there in the room. He sees Ada, and he is scared.
Almost peed on himself.
He almost peed on himself. So
because he ordered her death.
Exactly. So it's like you're supposed to be there. So even with ordering her, it's like. Oh my, bro! It wasn't his choice.
It wasn't his choice.
If he cared, all right. So if he cared as little as much as you said that he cared about their feelings, their deaths that have been ordered would have been, done accordingly to how Ada had it done. Basically, them sealed off without Jigen's knowledge. But no, we understood there were several cyborgs. So aside from Ada and Damon, who make 2, Code, if you want to count, who makes 3, several being 3 to 5. Who were already ordered to be destroyed. Ada and Damon and Code are not destroyed. So there were other cyborgs that were destroyed. Amado basically had an active choice. Destroy these or not. I'm pretty sure they wanted to live, bro. Like, he still killed them.
But again, I don't think his empathy for them trumps his desire to see his daughter back alive.
But I don't think it's empathy. I don't think it's empathy there, regardless, because you can. I wouldn't even if it was. It obviously wouldn't trump his desire to bring his daughter back alive. But you can't have empathy for a person you're about to do it. I mean, you can. I guess in olden times when you would hunt, you would kill the beast or kill whatever thing you're hunting. And then you would make sure you utilize every single part to show respect to that. Basically saying, I'm not going to waste your life.
But even if you don't, like, I kind of have empathy. I ate chicken today. I feel bad for the chicken.
And I was about to say, so even in that case, I guess you can be like, okay, that's a sign of respect. But with that, it's like, what use do these creations have for Amado? Aside from Kawaki, because we're taking them out the conversation, what use do these creations have for Amado? Because Kawaki is the one that's tasked with bringing his daughter back. Delta is the clone of his daughter. Now, for the others, what use do they have for him to even care on any degree?
Well, he cares as a human being, but they're there to kill Jigen. Like, and Jigen understood that's why he
and even look, that even proves my point, because now Kashin Koji, that was his main mission, and Naruto, who didn't even know the guy. He had a problem with Amado potentially sending Kashin Koji to his death without Kashin Koji knowing. And Amado said simply, like, this is the mission, and he knew what he signed up for. Now, Kashin Koji, if I would say, if anything, that was his right-hand man. That was his right-hand creation.
But that doesn't trump his daughter coming back alive. His daughter can't come back alive if
but where's the empathy at, though? But where's the empathy at for Kashin Koji, who's presumed to be dead?
So now they felt empathy for Jiraiya when she sent him to fight against Pain. Like,
and we saw it. We saw it in her hesitation to send them out, and the fact that they went out to dinner before they sent them out, and even after they sent them out, she contemplated, "Dang, should I have sent them out?" With Amado, he was like, "I need another cigarette."
All right, that's like a crazy example. But Naruto did the same thing with, I forgot who. I think it was Sasuke, and he didn't think twice about it. It seemed like he had no empathy.
At that point, look at the history that they've been through. It's Sasuke, bro.
Fighting against Jigen. He said to go find
at that
Jigen.
point, before they even, because this was before Jigen whooped their ass. So at that point, they're thinking, even if Sasuke runs into trouble, me and Sasuke fighting together will solve anything. And you know that's
he wasn't
the
with
general,
Sasuke.
but you know that's the general belief, because when they went and teleported in another dimension, Shikamaru simply said, okay, if Naruto is fighting there, either A, this was Shikamaru, the guy who thinks of 1,000 plans within 1,000 plans. He said, if Naruto is fighting Jigen, either one, he is still fighting him, or two, he beat him and he can't get back home. There was no world where Shikamaru thought Naruto and especially Sasuke could lose a fight. So that's already an exception to the rule. So Sasuke being sent out on those type of missions doesn't correlate to the. And we Naruto is the biggest.
The specific mission that Sasuke went out on was to go look at he went to go look at the Ten Tails, and he ran to Jigen. Like Naruto wasn't there. Like
okay,
Naruto wasn't
even
there.
with that mission though, but like how?
And Boruto even criticized Naruto for that.
But how is that like something that they can be, or should be scared or show even sympathy? Because if we're going to connect it to the Tsunade thing, or even what we're talking about right now, Tubu Vortex, at that point in time when they're going to a Ten Tails dimension, we already talked about this early on the pod. They both agreed that they were strong enough to face Kage.
First, but don't say they. At first, it was just Sasuke. Sasuke got sent alone. It wasn't Naruto too. It was just Sasuke.
At that point, both Naruto and Sasuke agreed that they are strong enough to face Kaguya threats alone. Yes, right?
True.
They agreed to that. So even if he's on a mission to go investigate a possible, at the time he didn't even know it was a Ten Tails. They just knew they had coordinates, right? That's all they had was coordinates. And at that point, were there even any battles that happened with at that point, all they know was Kawaki. So they haven't had any major interactions. I don't know if that was before or after the Delta fight with Naruto. But even if that's the case, like you can already see the sense of urgency was there, but in their minds, they still had more than enough power to deal with it. But even with all of that, the empathy is still shown with Naruto in the situation because he's earnestly understanding Sasuke is the one who's able to do this. Sasuke is capable of going on this mission alone. If he didn't have empathy, he would have sent someone like Sai to go to those coordinates, or he would have sent someone like.
I get your point overall, but he didn't fully understand that Sasuke could have handled that mission. But also, even if he is sending someone to die, I don't necessarily think that means he doesn't have empathy for them. And even if he doesn't show, it doesn't necessarily mean that. They're shinobis.
But even then, what they do. But Naruto's whole thing was when he questioned Amado in that interrogation room, does he know? Now, Amado couldn't answer that question because it's like, why would it you be like, he knows? Well, like Naruto was like, well, does he know that this is a one and done mission? Because he looks like he's fighting to something. Naruto said that. And and Amado sat there and just kept puffing on his cigarette.
Yeah,
the empathy,
you gotta respect it.
You gotta respect it.
the respect.
He wanted his daughter back.
As far as like the creation, maybe the respect. He doesn't empathize with these because if he were to empathize with them, I don't even think we get as far as we actually are. Is like morally speaking, bro. Empathy, you can't take morals and empathy, you can't separate them for the most part a lot of the times. So even morally speaking, why are you killing, even if it's just one orphan, to bring your daughter back who already lived her life?
Again, you don't have to be a perfect person to have empathy. No one's saying
bro,
that. No one's saying that. No one's saying this is a good guy. Like
him. All right, so him not trying or trying to bring his daughter back to life does not make him perfect or not. He don't have to be perfect, but it's like I'm saying the empathy is just not there though. That's like it's just not present. It's just not.
I feel like you're looking at too black and white. Either he's perfect, he has all the empathy, he cares about everybody, or he just cares about nothing.
All right, show me a sign where he shows a slight. Because I'm looking at, if it looks like, I'm not trying to look at it at black and white because I'm trying to go through every instances where Amado has interacted with his creations aside from Kawaki and Delta, and where there was a sense of camaraderie or compassion within those interactions, and there are zero of those within the both manga or anime. That's my whole thing.
Contextually, I don't think he should have been showing them empathy because they all outwardly hated him.
So you think it was hidden empathy?
No, I'm saying contextually, it shouldn't have been there. Imagine if Delta curses him out one scene, and he's just like, "Oh, that's my experiment. I love my experiment."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Contextually,
it's
just
never
wouldn't
been there
matter.
though. It should. You're saying it shouldn't like it was, but it shouldn't have. But it's never been there. At least I haven't seen. Because even in the anime, I'm pretty sure Amado and Delta had an anime only episode, where they were watching. At the time, we just knew it was the cargo. Well, anime onlys knew it was the cargo, but at the time we knew Kawaki was on the blimp. But they were watching Kawaki and the blimp take off. Like, even then, like it was no sense of camaraderie there, bro. The closest thing, the only reason people even guessed correctly that Delta was somehow Amado's daughter was because of the side eye he gave her in that one chapter, bro. When Jigen brought up Amado's wish and he side-eyed Delta and she was like, "What the hell are you looking at?" But other than that, bro, like when he's coming across Boro in the anime and he has to basically they're playing this whole trick where they're trying to figure out the traitor within an organization and he's running these tests on each and every inner, like we see him interact with Victor, we see him interact with Boro, we see him interact with Cold, bro, and nothing changes, bro. He's cold and calculative to all of them. The only time we see any inklings of emotion,
he wasn't necessarily, that was kind of a bad time. Like he was like literally like in the midst of overthrowing the COD organization.
So in what other situation? Because that's like a 10-year plan, bro. So even by year 3, I'm still in the midst
go
of
to the first one. Go to the first one when he was telling Jigen we should stop the experiments. Too many kids have died. Like he's already showing empathy from the
too many kids have died. So is that empathy or is that guilt?
Again, you're saying, I feel like you're looking at it as black and white. Either he's a perfect person or he has absolutely zero empathy. I think that shows he has even a sliver of empathy. Like even with his successful experiment, these are just random kids. His successful experiment, I said, is 20%, 20-25. Like I'm not saying he's some empathetic person. I'm saying like he's not completely cold-blooded and just dead inside.
All right. So he's not completely dead inside. He's not cold-blooded. If you're asking me directly relating to his creations, is there any empathy there? I am going to say no. Directly, that doesn't mean I can look at, like I'm looking at a shirt right now. If someone would have ripped that shirt up right now, would I have empathy for the shirt? That's how I'm meaning. Basically, I'm not a bad person because I don't feel bad for the shirt. He doesn't have to be a perfect person. You know what I'm saying? But he does not feel empathy for these creations, bro. If he did, they wouldn't be creations in the first place.